allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome to the February 18th Board of Public Affairs meeting. First on the agenda is to approve the minutes for February 4th. You've all been presented with that. Are there any additions or corrections?
I see no changes yet. I'll make a motion. We approve this agreement.
Second it. Jim?
Yes.
Annette? Yes. Dick?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Karen? Yes.
Next on the agenda is a hearing of public concerns. Seeing none. Next on the agenda will be a Clerk-Treasurer's report. Lori?
The board's been presented with the Clerk-Treasurer's report for the month ending January 31st, 2020.
I make a motion, we approve the Clerk-Treasurer's report.
I'll second.
Karen?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Annette?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Next on the agenda is a resolution. Could you please number and read, Lori?
Resolution number 10, 2020, revising Bryan Communications Department Rate Addendum Exhibit A, Cable Television Rate Schedule.
Joe? You want to give us the bad news?
During the last board meeting, we had a discussion about cable rates as a result of programming increases that we experience each year. And we raised the rates only as much as what the programming costs us. It does not include labor or other operating expense costs. It only passes through that. You have before you the suggested rates, and these are just the regular rates, and anybody that gets the discount, that would be calculated at the clerk's office where they would get the $4 discount. We're basically raising the basic $3 to $36.74, extended basic by $3.60 to $79.54, and then digital basic by $1 to $13.99. And as I said earlier, this only covers most of the cost of our programming, and these rates take effect January 1 of each year. So from January 1 until the date these rates take effect, the department, the utility absorb these costs. And the bills rendered after March the 20th we would be compensated for the programming rate increase. So we respectfully ask, unfortunately, we ask the board to consider this.
I know it's something we hate to do. This is going to be ongoing. This won't be the last, I'm sure. Any comments?
No, I guess historically, it's just the dust just settles on one and they come after us again, don't they? This is what we discussed last time, I guess, and it's, like I say, we don't figure any wiggle room on this. We just try to keep it as close to par as we can.
And we never recoup the
No.
month or two that we're paying these higher rates from the providers, but we don't collect for it. So 2.5 months later.
Regretfully, I'll make a motion we approve.
A second.
Jim?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Annette?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Next Next on the agenda will be a resolution. Lori, could you please number and read?
Resolution number 11, 2020, authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Bryan Excavating LLC for the South William Street Water Main Replacement Project 2020.
This is the joint city project that we applied for in September of 2018 with the city engineer's office. And in front of you, you have the city engineer, Bryan Whelan's bid tabulation and recommendation to accept the bid for Bryan Excavating LLC for $690,859.80. That is the award total. BMU's responsibility is $368,261.10. Initially, in the 2020 budget, we had projected $400,000, so we're under the 2020 budget figure.
I see on here that only one bid was received.
The engineer's estimate was $708,047.89, so even though we received one bid, it was underneath his estimate. So, this is in line with our capital improvement plan.
How old would you say that water line is that we're replacing?
It's really old down through there. We've got, some of that stuff to the north is almost 100 years old, and it's being close to the original part. As you move south, of course, the town, grew and water lines moved down. By the time you get down, to the south, it's probably 80 years old. So it's all old, main. There's some very old work in there. Be nice to get that out of the system.
Have there been a lot of leaks down there over the recent 10 years or so?
There has been quite a few leaks, mostly since we started keeping records. I'm sure there was way more, in the 80s and stuff like that when we first started keeping records. I'm sure there was lots of breaks down there that we don't have record of, but yeah, the major thing is we need to get rid of all that 4-inch cast iron. And we expect there may be some lead service lines in the area too, so it's, that's our goal, is to get all that stuff out of the ground and change it out, so a little at a time.
And I'd like to make a motion that we pass the resolution to enter into a contract with Bryan Excavating.
I second it.
Karen?
Yes.
Annette?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Tom?
Next on the agenda is another resolution. Could you please number and read, Laura?
Resolution number 12, 2020, authorizing the advance and transfer of funds to the South William Street Water Main Replacement Project.
We need to ask for city council's approval to authorize the transfer in the amount of $368,261.10 from the Water Capital Reserve Fund to the 415 South William Street Water Main Replacement Capital Project account. That is BMU's portion, but we are also asking for an advance in the amount of the grant for $243,523.90, which will ultimately be returned to the 502 Water Fund once the grant is reimbursed from the Ohio Public Works Commission.
which saves us $250,000. That's nice. Any questions or comments or?
How long will it take to get the grant monies back?
It ultimately depends on how long the project takes, but once the final pay request is submitted, it usually isn't, but,
Within a month.
yeah, a month or so. It should be completed within this calendar year.
Okay.
So, we awarded the project, now we're approving the funds to pay for it.
Well, then I'd like to make a motion to authorize the advance and transfer of the funds for the South William Street project.
Second.
Karen,
Yes.
Dick,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Annette,
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Next on the agenda would be another resolution. Could you please number and read, Lori?
Resolution number 13, 2020, authorizing the operations manager to advertise for bids for the Deerfield Edition Directional Boring Project.
Back 5 or so years ago, we come up with a underground replacement plan for our subdivisions. Back then, it was probably about a 20-year plan. Now we're on like year 15. So we've been gradually replacing the direct buried cable that we've had in town and in the subdivisions with directional boring conduit. This is a project that we have as part of that plan, an ongoing plan, to replace all of our direct buried cable with a concentric neutral and put it in pipe. That way, the future, 50 years from now, when this cable needs replaced, the guys will thank us. It'll be a lot easier to replace.
You won't be here, you said?
What's that?
You won't be here, do you think?
No, he'll be here.
But this project, you know, it started out, it's a pretty good sized project, so we decided to maybe break it up in a couple of different sections. We wanted to do a base bid and an alternate. Base bid, you know, consists of 2,075 feet of 2-inch pipe, which is our primary line, and then 683 feet of 3-inch conduit, which is the secondaries that we run to the transformers, or to the pedestals from the transformers. That would be the base bid, which engineering's estimated that on a contractor price of $50,304. The alternate that we're proposing has 1,372 feet of 2-inch pipe and 683 feet of 3-inch. So we're hoping to do it all if we get good pricing on our boring. That alternate estimate is $34,170,000, so we have a grand total of $84,474 is the estimated price for that. So what we want to do here tonight is request that we go out for competitive bids for this project, for the directional boring portion of it. And this would be, you know, directional boring 2-inch and 3-inch pipe, both separately and together in certain areas. So we'd greatly appreciate if you push us through for it.
Should we see some savings if somebody decides if they are going to do both at the same time?
No, not, when they directional bore, what they do is they shove a rod through the pipe. If they pull a 3-inch back, they have to pull a reamer back. The reamer that they pull back is the same reamer that would do a 3-inch or a 2 and a 3-inch together. So you don't really save much in that. While just a 2-inch doesn't need a reamer, they just pull that back with the rod itself. If you have a 3-inch, the way I understand it, or a dual pipe, then it's the same reamer, so.
So do I understand that the bid we get on the the base bid will determine whether we proceed with the alternate bid?
Right. Yeah, depending on what we get on the base bid, then we'll look to see how the alternate falls with that, whether or not we have enough funds to cover it.
It'd be nice to finish it.
It would.
Because it needs it badly. We just had a problem there.
Yeah, we've had a couple different cable splices on that primary out there, and we recently, last week, had a secondary fault on the secondary line.
Would that be on the base side or the alternate side?
That was on the base side.
Base side.
Now, this also mentions the installation of transformer box pads, junction boxes, primary and secondary.
Yes.
Is the contractor going to do that work
Yes.
as well?
But what we have them do, we have them set the transformer pad, excavate down 15 inches, bring it up 6 inches of stone, set the pad, bury it, and then we come in. At the time, they'll bring the secondary conduits up where the bolts are, because we changed them bolts out and put an above ground pedestal now. So all of our connections are up out of the ground, so, and it doesn't save us any money having them do that, because we have to come back and dig it up and then splice the existing service to the house into that box. So it's just as easy for us to do it right there. We've come to figure that out over the years.
Looks like something needs to be done. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Jim?
Yeah.
Tom?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Annette?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
Thanks, Al. Next on the agenda is a request to reclassify a power plant employee. Jim?
Evening, we would like to respectfully ask to reclassify Tom Wheeler from power plant operator number 3 to probationary power plant number 4. He's completed all his required schooling and fulfilled his time. He's a great asset to us in his dedication to BMU, and therefore we would like to reclassify him.
Any questions, comments?
No. I'm glad he's gone through all the training,
Yeah.
made his way up this way and got the education finished. I'd like to make a motion that we move Tom up to level 4.
I'll second.
Karen?
Yes.
Jim? Dick?
Yes.
Annette?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Next on the agenda will be the 2019 year-end review presentation. I'd like to ask all the department heads to limit it to 5 minutes.
He wasn't kidding.
Dawn?
In 2011, the Board of Public Affairs adopted the Renewable Energy Power Supply Strategy, where the goal is to receive at least 25% of the power supply annually. And in 2019, we received 28.94% of our power from renewable resources. So we exceeded the goal, which is just shy of about 61 million kilowatt hours. On some of our resources, we were slightly above projection. On some, we were slightly below, but overall, we were fairly close. I'm going to do a quick run through of the financials. The electric department total financial position increased just over 1.6 million in 2019, and capital expenses totaled just shy of 1.8. Currently, the depreciation for the electric department is $1,425,669. So we are making a good faith effort in replacing our capital infrastructure. The electric capital reserve fund currently ended the year at just over $6 million available for capital projects and expenses, and the electric fund ended the year just over $10 million for operations and maintenance. For 2019, this is our electric department sales by class. You can see we have about 235 free service accounts, which total over 7 million kilowatt hours a year. 58% of our sales are attributed to the large power class, 13% to commercial, and 25% to residential, which is very close to what we've seen in past years. Kilowatt hour by customer class, this is a comparison since 2016. 2019, we ended the year with 183,561 kilowatt hours, which is about 4% less than 2018, but it's very close to where we ended in 2017. In 2018, it was thought that the temperatures and the weather impacts were impacting our sales in water and electric, and I believe that this pleads the case that it was. For 2019, we ended the year about 18% lower on cooling degree days. When people are operating their heating and cooling system, it impacts our sales. So overall, about a 4% decrease from 2018, but right in line with 2017. In 2019, the BMU Electric Department received APPA's highest designation for reliable public power, which is the RP3 Diamond Level status. It attributes to services that were provided in a safe and reliable manner, and we're very excited and proud of the electric department for receiving that certification. It recognizes them as being the best of the best on the national level. So, jumping ahead to water. Overall, water's financial position increased by about $161,347. Last year, we had capital expenses that totaled $770,603. Currently, their depreciation is $264,127. I anticipate that, and the same would be true for electric. As we move forward with some of these larger projects, that depreciation amount should increase each year. They also retired a total short-term debt by $64,241, which is the debt service for South Walnut and the first payment was made for Town Line Road. So, overall, I think we're in pretty good financial position for the water fund. This is sales by class for 2019. We have about 52% of the water sales are attributed to residential, which is about opposite of what we see in electric. 26% for commercial, 18% for industrial, and 4% for free service. So last year, we had about 27 free service accounts for the water department, and it totaled about $102,932. As far as sales by class for, in comparison, in 2019, we've seen a significant decrease in our commercial we ended the year by about 15%. In October, we presented to the board the water revenue requirements and the water rate structure, which was information that was through September of 2019. At that point, we still had about 36% left to collect for the projection for the commercial class. We have accounted for 21% of that, but we're still 15% short of what initial projections were. We dove into that a little bit more. We had the first reason we believe impacts that number is we had above average rainfall. So we had some places that were not turning on their irrigation system. Some businesses didn't turn on their irrigation systems at all. We also had a large water user in the fourth quarter of the year that went out of business. So overall, it's about 12 million gallons a year. We're going to continue to watch that. And we've seen a 6% drop in sales, a gallon sold over the course of 2019. This should look like a familiar slide. We like to periodically take a look at what our average residential bill is and compare it to what we're charging to what other towns are charging. Typically, it's once a year or any time that we change rates. In 2018, the average total bill was $173.74. In 2019, the average residential total bill was $171.78. That is per month. So in 2019, we collected on average about $1.96 less per month from our residential customers. So communications total financial position increased by $21,982 in 2019. They expended $115,339 on capital expenses and have a current depreciation of $108,358. Overall, communication fund and capital fund balance totals about $2.3 million. So Joe does a pretty good job of keeping his financials in the green. So department statistics, values by rate class. In 2019, the communications department provided roughly about $218,414 in free service. Cable sales accounted for about 54% of the fund's revenue. Fiber is 7% and internet is 30%. Something that we've talked about on a regular basis are our subscriber counts. So communications and the residential internet had an increase of about 69 subscribers from 2018 to 2019. but had a loss of roughly 138 subscribers for cable. So we're continuing to see the trend that we've seen the last several years, where our subscriber count in cable customers is decreasing. Commercial internet and fiber customers typically stay real close. So, end of the year in 2019 with 89 commercial internet and 25 commercial fiber. Any questions for? Keep going.
Electric Department review. Last year, we started the year out finishing a couple projects we had dangling out there from 2018. The Ford Edition project was about 500 feet of primary, and it's about 215 feet of secondary that was replacing Ford Edition out off 34 there west of Bryan. We did also do a primary conversion project on County Road 12, which consisted of 800 feet of primary underground that we had bored in. Nate and the crew there in the engineering went out for bid for us for 69 pole line materials, which we awarded, and we received that material in 2019. And we currently have 38 poles, cast iron poles that were part of that bid that we have assembled and ready to install. But the weather hasn't been real cooperative with us, so we haven't been able to really get to that yet. But we have that on our future, our near future scope, trying to get that stuff going. 2018, we also replaced a fuel system here at the utility. This is a pump, a kiosk, pretty much a new way how we calculate and track our fuel usage. The stuff over in Lonnie's warehouse was replaced. Shelley and Lonnie were both involved in this for the billing and everything to make sure that things get billed right as far as the usage between departments and things. So that was a project that we did and completed. 900 block at East Perry overhead project. We replaced was roughly 680 feet of old copper overhead wire. We put 336 aluminum up, and we rebuilt that line, new poles, new hardware and stuff there by Yangfang, which was a good project to get completed. Also, other projects were our typical, our system URD projects that we did last year was on Lawndale and Bel Air in that area of town, south kind of side of town. We had numerous transformers and pedestals that we replaced along with the primary and secondary cables. We also did a lighting project on North Lynn Street, which was the historical acorn type fixtures. We replaced seven of them lights down there. They were the old like 1930s type steel poles that were replaced with new lights that matched the downtown area. So that was a project that we completed. New conduit, new piers, everything. And the Bryan Bowling Alley was another service that needed upgraded. That we some directional boring, and the customer worked also with us on providing a new meter base and disconnect on their building. City parking lot project we did with the city engineering. This was by the Eagles. We had different style of light. It was like more like an industrial type light. If you've been around the Eagles, you've probably seen it. We had 5 lights on 3 poles and 365 feet of conduit. Also on the 200 block of South Walnut Street, we had 3 additional lights put in there by the Eagles, which were street lights that were upgraded also to make that area look very nice. And then Fairview Drive was our big, our 15-20 year plan project from last year, like I mentioned. And that project was 2,500 feet of primary, and I believe there was like 1,000 feet of secondary conduit put in with 11 transformers in that area. And on the 200 block of South Main, which is the picture here, we did a direct replacement to match. We used the existing conduit and wire concrete piers, and we did a direct replacement of those mold cast lights from the late 70s, early 80s with the new historical style light to match the downtown. Lebanon Street overhead, we took a 3-phase line and converted it to a single phase to improve clearance for our new fiber optic ring that we're running in town. So we did do some work. That's the picture you see there on the right. And Davelin had a 500 kVA addition that was about 270 feet of primary cable, 3-phase that we installed for that place. We purchased a new utility trailer for us to store our tugging equipment and to use for other things that we need covered up, and different projects and things that we may use the trailer for. Store materials, store tools and things on site, which will help. And then the water department, they appreciate what they've done for us and created this service road for us. This is for our 69 kV and 12 kV distribution line that we're going to build to our new sub. This gives us the ability to build that line, work off the road when weather and conditions don't allow us to be in the yards and stuff. So they did a great job on that, and that was about 2,850 feet of new service road that they built for us. East Maple Street, pole replacements. We're doing an underground project. We had about 6 poles, I believe, that were need of replacement before we came in and did the underground. In 2019, we did replace them poles. And then soon to follow, they came and bored the conduit in. I believe it was in December of that year. And then we also, at East Village, we used some URD money to extend a dead end that we had in a piece of primary that to create a loop in our system to improve outages. County Road 12, again, we did another piece of that, 825 feet conversion project. And Nordstrom Labs, they did a new service into there, which in 2019, engineering did most of the design work. And then it's soon to follow, just in January here, the construction of it. Here, the board allowed us to buy a utility mulcher at the end of last year. We have gotten that mulcher installed on the water department's excavator. Eric's posted a picture here of that work that's been done this week. And you can see how that has improved the drainage. I mean, this is clear out here. It really widened up the path there, and hopefully it'll improve drainage and just everything, being able to access the corridor and stuff, and time in need of, when we're doing the thing's going to save us a lot of money by not having to pay to have that done and that brush control done. And it's proven itself in just the first few days here that it's really came in. It's amazing what they've done, the water department's what they've done so far with it. So last year the board authorizes to replace truck 8, which has been ordered, and we're waiting that build. And we did replace a pickup truck 35 for the department. Johnson Way Street Lighting was a project with the city there, and I believe we had 10 lights out there that we installed with that project. And Slaughter Investment temporary service, we installed a service to the new Slaughter Investment building out in the industrial park. And also engineering had engineered and designed that project for us at the last year. Mutual aid, Hurricane Dorian, we sent a few guys down to Georgia, which were on standby for a week or so. They got sent down to Ocala, Florida, then called back after the storm didn't produce, I guess, or wasn't as bad as what they were thinking. But we did do our job and we were on standby for it, and the guys returned without incident. Pole testing, 606 distribution poles were tested, and 170 transmission poles in the Marcus corridor was tested and also treated. What they did is excavated down about 24 inches, and they checked for decay within the internal works of that pole and the outside of the pole. 16 poles were shown of decay but were treated, and to extend the life of that pole line. And the internal parts, they put the fume, they call it microfuming, and it extends the life of the pole internally. But the guys did a great job from Osmos for us, and that project got done and extended the life of that line. Street department, terrace tree removals, as we do every year. About this time of year, we start that up with the street department. We did that last year. I can't remember how many trees we had, but there was probably, 50, 60 trees that we do cut down and remove with those folks. And the courthouse square Christmas light stringer installation and removal, as we do every year. Line clearance, we had Asplin Tree Service do our line clearance trimming last year. They got through most of the system that we needed done, and now they're back this year to do some of the stuff that's been 3 or 4 years hasn't been touched, so they're back doing that stuff this year. So we have them out there now continuing that project. And pole installations and replacements, the picture there on the right behind that picture was a project out on County Road D by Curtin Sub, that we replaced some poles in that pole line. And I know I do have on here in my projects that we wanted to buy some portable traffic signal devices with the city. If you see in that picture, there's one of them devices that we used on that project that allowed us to be on the road as we are there and not have to have people out there in harm's way in the traffic, and it actually monitor itself and actuated itself to maintain traffic around our work site there. It was a really good thing. I put on here helping neighboring communities. We did some pole work for a couple communities here in Bryan, our neighbors, and we also do switching, with Montpelier and Chase Brass on different things on the JV4 line. So that's stuff that we do throughout the year. Notable projects: street department mowed the corridor for us. We appreciate them doing that every year. Installed banners in the Bryan Rec Park and on the courthouse square, and we assisted the Bryan Communication with the outer ring fiber and cable installation projects. Bryan Jubilee temporary services and removal, and Day in the Park temporary service installation and removal that we normally do. Throughout the year, we do circuit patrol, distribution and transmission systems. As we drive around and look for potential problems, we locate glass bells that are out there and put them on a map so we can make a future replacement with polymer bells that we use now. That's some part of our circuit patrol that we do, and also squirrel proofing. As you can see in that picture on the bottom right, that is a squirrel proof transformer with coated wire going from the cutout up to the primary bushing and a bushing cover on there. That's how we would squirrel proof a pole here in Bryan. So. And last is Oktoberfest temporary installation and removal there at the library parking lot. 2020 projects, we of course have the 69 pole line build that we need to do. The Deerfield underground project that we just requested to go out for bid. And the 100 block of North Main Street, which would be a direct replacement of the moldcast poles. The same as we did on the 200 block of South Main. And the Bryan Industrial Park North street lighting project. This is a project that will continue that street that they put in off of Beeman down to Page Street. I think there's 4 poles that we need to put out there also. That's a picture of one of those poles that we have out there in that part of the park. Industrial Park substation distribution circuits. We'll continue with them. 34.5 kV pole line upgrade project, upgrading our 34.5 to 69 project towards Titan Tire around in there. Traffic control portable signal purchase and the replacement of truck 1, which we are working through Terex with that as we speak. And we are going through Sourcewell, which is a type of, I know the city uses Sourcewell for purchasing, and we're working with Terex to get a spec on the truck that we need to buy right at this point. So, and that's truck 1 there in the bottom that we want to replace this year. Any questions?
Busy year, 2019. Going to be a busy year this year.
Yep.
Thanks, Al.
All right, thank you.
2019 year review for the power plant and Auglaize hydro facility. Of course, our big flag is the capacity and transmission savings and things like that. This year was really great for capacity. Even though we missed one of the 5 CPs, if you remember, we had one of the generators that didn't come online, one of them. It didn't seem to affect us too much because we still came out with $929,000 for what we did in Bryan here. The Auglaize then was active during those and made over $97,000 to help us during those times. And of course the solar field, since those were all during the summer, helped us out well with $31,000, bringing us up to a little over $1 million in those capacity savings for the city of Bryan. From a transmission standpoint, last year on January 31st, you remember it hit -14 that morning. The crew had generated the morning before, the night before, and then they were back in at 4 in the morning to generate that 3rd time, and that's the peak that we hit was the 3rd one. So that paid off well and came in at the hour ending at 8 a.m. So we got a little, from AMP the savings was 3.2, the hydro plant was running at 172 at that time, and because it was in the morning and the sun was coming up, the solar filter turned on. So we got a little extra out of that, which is kind of unusual in the wintertime. Usually it's so cloudy, nothing happens. So that brought our savings up to 3.4 over that. So if we add those all up, 4.4 for the year, very positive. I would not expect that this coming year because we had no generation this winter time because of the mild winter. But anyways, let's take what we got and use it for positive stuff. Our generation sales just from the year, a little over 12 million at the Auglaize facility, and as I'll show you in a chart here in a minute, it is our 2nd highest year on record, the one we don't have on record, but we beat last year by just a little bit. So the RECs that we have are over that time period of 2016 through 2019, and that's the same way with the solar RECs. So that's the amount of money that we've made over those years as a whole. From the solar standpoint, we got 2.5 That goes directly onto our grid, so that's not really what we're selling or anything like that. It's just savings that we don't have to buy. And then this is the chart that we keep, and you can see where we beat last year by just a little bit, and this year we're on 1.6, and as of this morning we're at 2.7. So just keep praying for rain like you have been, and we'll keep it rolling.
Sure.
Of course, with the completed projects last year, the big one was the Nordberg. Hence the picture of that. Just to hit the Nordberg real quick, you see the picture on the right side at the top is the Nordberg catalyst. We got done testing that on June 25th, and the next day we had generation on it. So it worked out really well. We were supposed to reduce our emissions by 70%. We reduced them by 84%. So we're well within it. We're required by the EPA now to test every 3 years, as long as we keep within our parameters of our online testing that happens every time that it runs. So there's that part. We're also taking care of our buildings by making sure they're painted and not looking all rusty out there. And if you also remember, we had a lightning strike out at Daggett that took out our tap changer, so we were single-ended on the 34.5, which puts us at risk for Titan Tire and with generating at the power plant. Once we got that all apart, found out that the switches for the limit of it was what went out. So it didn't know where it was sometimes. They would work and then sometimes they wouldn't. So we had that repaired. And also on the SCADA server, we have an A-B system on the server. So we have two servers, one's A and one's B. If A goes down, B takes over. Well, it wasn't always sending out information, or it wasn't recording information like it was. So we had that server replaced. I'm going to have the other server replaced this year because of the age, and I'm worried about if we would have anything, we won't have a backup. But also last year, the uninterrupted power supplies would always go down every time we had a power outage. So it wouldn't even last 5 minutes. So we've corrected those problems so that we can get online with the SCADA system even when we don't have power. From a power plant standpoint, or continue there, GT2, you know, in January we had a fuel leak out there where we had a safety valve that was spring loaded that was supposed to bring back. And the little picture up there at the top is what it looked like. We have replaced that one, which it physically turns 90 degrees. It's spring loaded and it turns itself, but you have a nice visual as you're walking through that you see it, instead of just the one that goes up and down. And no one noticed that it did not pop up correctly. Now, we didn't get anything off site, so we didn't have any issues with that and stuff, but we still did lose some fuel, and that's valuable. We also took the control room inside of GT2 and installed a little frame around some of the switch gear in there in order to decrease the size of it so the heat would be more functional. So when we're generating in the wintertime or air conditioning out there in the summertime, we're not air conditioning or heating a great big room. We're just doing it where the guys or gals would be operating from. So, which has been very effective actually, and very low cost. Just a frame with some blue styrofoam in order to decrease the size of that room. We also had the Lawrence substation tested this year. All the 138, so the transformer and the breakers of the 138 and all the relays and protective stuff was tested to make sure it went well. The flip side of that is that the Oglaze was also done this year. So it's all been tested and ready to go. And we did find on one of the cooling vent fins, one of the fill valves for the oil was leaking, so we replaced that gasket at the same time that it was being tested. Down below you'll see the fuel tanks. This is at the power plant. We had a 5-year requirement on it, and we had to also get it cleaned out so that it had no more high sulfur. It would be ultra low sulfur before we could test the Nordberg. So we had that all done, found some places in the bottom that needed repair. So we've got that all taken care of for 20 years. And with ultra low sulfur, we're good to go there. We also upgraded the batteries and things in some of the DC supply. And we also, with Al's help and his crew, is separate some of the AC so that we had 2 sources of AC to our substations. So that if one went down, we could feed it from a different feeder, so we wouldn't necessarily have to run off the Gen X the whole time. And also with the DC, when we change the batteries out, we put them on separate breakers, so that if we ever have to change the battery or the battery charger, we can flip a breaker off and just run with the batteries and change the charger out, and then bring it back online without having to take the substation down or putting us at risk that way. We did all the bearing inspections and runners down below. Number 3 was making a thumping noise. In the picture, you can see what we had to do. We had to take out 16 of those pins. They're about 1.5 inches, 3 foot tall. 3 of them were broke. I was very concerned with the integrity of the rest of them, so I had new ones made. We replaced that. We also took the bearing back out. It was fine, and put it all back together. However, that is a lot of work, and Dick knows that very well. That's just not go down and half an hour later you're done. I was two or 3 weeks worth of work there. In the picture where you see the crest of the dam there is where we had to lower the river this fall a couple feet. I had to make sure that we didn't get water up there even if we got wind. So we had to take it kind of low, and it kind of made the residents upstream a little nervous, but I stayed in contact with quite a few of them, and as you know, I put out All Glaze News to help prevent those kind of issues. I even drove down there and talked to some of them that I seen out. But we got that repaired, and it seems to be holding up. The wood chipper there we found was just here. It was unusable, but we got it running, and we took it to the All Glaze so that if we get any wood out of there, we just use it and chip it up, and then we can use it for mulch when we're sealing up a head gate or something like that. We nicknamed it Chippy. So, projects for 2020, Al mentioned the Titan Tire, but we're also doing the industrial and commercial park there, substation replacement. We're hoping to get that rolling here thanks to Dawn and Nate's help. It's as you might know, getting a project like that that's been in and out is always a struggle getting it rolling. But it seems like we're gaining some steam there. We're also going out for bid on GT1 and GT controls. What I'd like to say is that we're going out for GT2 controls, and GT1 is an alternate if it comes in as priced well. You all know that we did get enough money in the budget that if it does come in well, we do have the funds set aside for both of those projects. We have verified that both of them will run in diesel today. Actually at 1 o'clock we brought GT2 up on diesel and got it running. So then for further from the All Glaze hydro plant, as you can see, this is where we were pouring the crest of the dam, concrete up there. But you can also see here in the picture, just to the edge of the right where there's a void in the face of it. That's what we got to repair this summer. The nice thing about that, we don't have to lower the river, because we can sandbag the top of that where the boards may leak a little bit or something and get the water diverted if anything's leaking over, and then we can pour that concrete and not have to worry about lowering the river or, you know, affecting people's recreation this summer. But we will have to do it when we know that we're going to have a lengthy period of not a lot of rain. Besides that, the one thing I would like to do is thank all my fellow superintendents for their help. Joe gives us his bucket truck when we need some work, you know, that's not too high. Of course, I mentioned Al and Nate. And it's always great to work with the water department anytime you need stone or something like that. And none of this of what I've told you would be possible if it wasn't for the crew that I work with. I have a great set of crew of guys. They help each other. They don't never turn their back. They're always watching out for the safety of each one, and they take the time to teach each one how something works. Without them, none of this is possible, and I'd like to thank all of them. Any questions?
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Jim.
Gentleman, next. Water Department. Well 3, I don't know if you remember, but we had some trouble with well 3 last year. We looked into replacing the vertical turbine pump with a submersible pump. Got the job done, went through EPA plan approval. After talking to them, they wanted us to submit plans. It was quite a lengthy process to get through all this. It was probably 9 to 10 months. And most of that was just plan approval. The good thing about and I don't have a picture of the finished product, but it is in service with a new submersible pump. The good thing is, for future replacement, it's about half the cost and about 10 times faster to replace a submersible pump than to have a vertical turbine overhauled. I'm not saying we can do this with all the wells, but this is one of the smaller wells, and normally we spend maybe $35,000 to rehabilitate a well. That includes cleaning, the pump going back to a vertical turbine pump, rehabilitated, which is few and far between nowadays, and that's what takes the time, having those overhauled. So good to have this back in service. We're not taking any more water out of it than we ever did, about 700 gallons a minute. Like I said, it's one of our smaller pumpers, but albeit one of our important ones, and it's back here behind us here in the north well field. But again, if the pump goes bad in these, they are readily available. We can probably have a new pump in a couple of days, whereas the vertical turbine, it took 2 to 3 months to get them overhauled. So, and again, like I said, it was half the cost. Really skip one. As you might remember, last fall we passed a resolution to get the filter rebuilt. Upon inspection, we found we were losing some sand and gravel off the top of it. These filters we only have 2 of them that supply potable water to the city. They're very important to us. I guess I'll spill the beans just a little bit. The job is done. We've got it back in service Monday morning of this week. All service came in 2 weeks ago and took all the sand and gravel out. I plan on making a little better presentation later on when we get all our pictures together and stuff, but people's been asking how it's coming. Passed all bacteria testing Friday, Saturday this weekend. It went through all the bacteria testing, and we put it back online Monday morning. So now we're back at full capacity operations now. As far as the final cost, there was only $325 worth of extras to all service, and that was for some gaskets. And the welding repair, I have not got his bill yet, but I'm well sure it was well under the purchase order that we started. He was only there 2 days, 2.5 days, part of 3 different days, but I'm not sure exactly how many total hours he had, but I'm sure we're well within what our estimate was for that. So everything went very good. We had no record production days, thankfully. Everything was business as normal. We got the well 7 skate upgrades. We've been working on well, trying to do a skate upgrade 1 a year. This makes all except one of the wells upgraded with our SCADA controls. Well 6 is a submersible over here on Trevitt Street that we still have to work on. Over at Water Treatment Lab, they analyzed 451 bacteria samples this past year. That's about the same that we did last year. We have a lot of samples come in from outside sources. The health department brings a lot in. Country churches and businesses bring a lot of samples to the lab there. The 3 water plant operators are also state certified lab analysts. We met all our EPA requirements for the public water system. They also make sure we get all our sample monitoring in for the year, and each year this changes what we have to test for because we are groundwater. Some of these things are only tested for every 3 years. With lead and copper though, the new lead and copper focus The past couple of years, we've had to do lead and copper testing annually. We'll be doing that again this year. The disinfection byproducts, the inorganics, VOCs, radiologicals, nitrates, those are typically every other year or every 3 years. But that's what we did this year. Met or exceeded all requirements. We also drained and washed out the Arrow, or the Bryan water tower down by the old Arrow, for a good thorough inspection of that. We do have some recommendations that we should do the next time we decide to paint it, which should be in the next couple of years. Both paint jobs on both towers are now 15 years old, and that's kind of what we figure we ought to do about every 15 years. They did recommend maybe putting a safety railing on top of this tower. It is kind of scary up there on top of that one with no safety rail. Also, they recommended adding an interior ladder to get inside the bowl of this tower. You actually have to use a rope ladder. The other tower, you can actually go inside and climb down a fixed ladder. Tower's not in bad shape, though. They did recommend a few things like that the next time we paint it, which should be, like I said, in a couple of years. Expect a couple $100,000. That's the going price to repaint a water tower. Treatment plant pumped 463,000 or 463,900,000 gallons of water. That was down about 7 million gallons from the year before, and it reflected in what the sales report said, especially in the commercial environment. Water treatment plant employees and I and some other people around here participated in a mock disaster drill with the fire department and the local emergency management agencies and the Red Cross. The mayor was there, fire department was there. It was quite a day. Staged a mock chlorine disaster. It was well attended, and it's good exercise for all of us. And in fact, it also meets one of the requirements of our emergency preparedness plan or our contingency plan at the water plant, that we're supposed to practice some of those things in there on an annual basis. We, with the new regulation for asset management mandated by the Ohio EPA, you might have heard me talk about this last year. They're going to start asking to see a matrix from our asset management to renew our public water system license every year. We got involved in this little bit of software called Silversmith that helps us real-time track any maintenance done. The guys in the field, if they're at a hydrant plus a hydrant, they'll go into this little computer deal that works in conjunction with our GIS system, but yet separate from. And then it will create a real-time database for us. So if somebody wants to know when the last time you operated that valve or that hydrant or what you did when, it's very. The EPA was happy to find out we're moving this way. Also to get rid of, not really get rid of, but to better easily track the assets and the maintenance of those assets and plan maintenance and historical maintenance and things of that nature. It's still in the works. We've not got it completely up and running yet, but we should be getting close. As you know, Town Line Road was a big job this year. Over 4,000 feet of 12-inch water main was installed out there. Most of that was replacing the old 6 and 8-inch cast, but there was a section that had no water system on it, and now it's looped in all the way from center to high. And then, of course, the 1,600 feet of new water main out in the North Industrial Park. And I thought it was called Johnson Drive. I know Al referred to it as Johnson Way. I'm not sure what.
It's Drive.
Johnson Drive, okay.
It's okay, Al. He won't mind. He can have both.
We finally think we got through all the fire hydrants with a nice fresh coat of paint, so there's no longer any pink ones in the system that I know about. That is about the only visible thing besides the water towers that the public sees that the water department does, because their best work is buried underground. The distribution crew, upon the annual flushing and inspection, found 3 that needed replaced. Found 8 that we could overhaul and repair and get back in good working order, and then we also added 12 new hydrants to our system as part of the new water line projects. Distribution system upgraded 20 water meter pits. When I say upgrade, it's from one we found that got broke somehow, or just was deteriorating from old age, or maybe it got hit by a snowplow and the lid don't fit on anymore, or maybe it was an old pit that's only 15-inch diameter that you can't get your arms down in to work on the meter anymore. We changed out 20 of those, and these are above and beyond the ones that were changed with the projects, as far as the water line projects. We did add 11 new service connections, which is a kind of a big year for us. Back in the 80s, we were doing 40 and 50 services a year, and then we trickled way down here. There wasn't a lot of new construction, so 11 new services this past year. We had 15 repaired water services and 4 mainline bills. And some of the miscellaneous projects we helped on. Al already told you about the service road we helped out on the off of Wilson Street through the industrial park there. We helped break out some of the street light bases on Northland and West Butler, and I think we might have helped with Old Concrete Corner. I put on the yard hydrants. A couple things. Of course, I hope you know we do a lot of stuff that isn't on the slide and on an annual basis that I might forget to mention, but or just don't think of it because it's a circle of maintenance. But last year we did have our triennial EPA inspection, and they kind of hit on yard hydrants. Yard hydrants, the EPA really don't like them very well because they have weep holes. And if anything's got a weep hole, can conceivably, if water can go out something, water can come back in the event of a depressurization or something like that. So we removed 4 yard hydrants. We've got a couple changed out of what's called a sanitary yard hydrant, which they use at campgrounds, which are very expensive, which we've had a few in the system anyhow. We've had trouble with a few freezing, even though they're not supposed to freeze. And then the ones that we do keep, we have to put backflow preventers on, plus mark them non-pullable. So we're working toward correcting all those things. And that was really the only thing that was any kind of problematic. The EPA inspection went very well, really. This year, of course, we got planned for the South William Street that you passed resolutions on tonight. The high pressure filter rehab, well, it's done. We'll probably do another well rehabilitation. We'll probably do flow testing first to make sure we're picking on fixing the most problematic one, if there is one. I believe the last time we did rehabs, well 5 would be next in line, but we'll see based on some capacity tests here this spring. The EPA reminded us after we completed well 3 that we need to update our wellhead protection plan because we put a new pump and motor in well 3. And they want a complete resubmittal by 2022. So that's just on here to know that we may be spending some money in 20 and 21 to get that finished up. As far as we've revised some of it already over the past couple of years, but we'll have to go through the whole thing and make sure it's all everything in there has been reconsidered and updated. And that concludes mine.
Thanks, Norm.
Thank you, Norm.
At the end of the year, we ended up the year with just a little over 1,300 analog cable customers. This includes expanded and basic customers. And we had close to 220 digital customers, which is part of the expanded basic customers. So we seem to be holding our own on that one. And then we had over 140 DVR set tops in the system for those folks that like to record their programs. And we had almost 200 other digital set tops, which are the HD set tops for those folks. And keep in mind that the numbers that Don gave you earlier today shows the trend that that video is just trending down with cord cutting, and that's an industry issue. It's not just us. We completed digital hits upgrade. They did another large upgrade last year that I had to do that in the head end in conjunction with them, where they keep compressing programming. And we continue to pass through the additional HD, the off-air broadcast signal programs at no additional cost to the customers. This is part of the broadcast stations that we pay a considerable programming cost to each year, that we pass those through, and that's a benefit to our customers. We conducted a large tire project last year that we didn't make a lot of mention of it, but it greatly improved channel 11 and 13 from Toledo. That's always had degraded signal because we are out of the best grade coverage for them, and it's a blessing that we even bring it in as good as we do. But this project was rather expensive, and it greatly improved that. And we did a lot of other tower maintenance at the same time. On the HFC internet, last year at the first of the year is when we introduced the new enhanced internet service that customers now get up to 30 megabits download speeds, and we have several of those folks that have taken that package, and but we continue to offer the high speed of 10 megabits for customers as well. A lot of customers, 10 megabits is just fine for them. When you get into families with a lot more devices, then a lot of people get to 30 megs, so they can stream their smart TVs, and the kids can be on computers and so forth. We installed and upgraded outdated cable modems. There was a lot of cable modems that were outdated for the new system that would only run on one speed, and we changed those out, which greatly enhanced those folks' service. And I believe to date now, I think we have all of those, or almost all of those, changed out. And as you see from Dom's report as well, we ended the year with over 1,600 internet customers versus the little over 1,300 cable customers. So this is the way everything's trending in the industry. Fiber optic projects, complete construction on another fiber cable up at Spangler Candy on that campus, and provides dark fiber for them between buildings, and it generates revenue for us as well. And then we also installed fiber route, which is the outer ring that Al spoke about. That's our new fiber ring that we constructed, the majority of it last year, and it wouldn't be proper if I didn't mention it. This would have never happened without the electric department working with us. It's a massive project, so my hat's off to them, and I really appreciate it. Then the fiber optic installation in various locations in Montpelier. As you know, we partner with Montpelier. We have a lot of fiber optic infrastructure in the village of Montpelier. They do not charge us pole rental fees and other fees that could be charged. So what we do is if they have fiber installation that needs to occur for like some substations and that kind of thing, we'll do that and then help them out with that. And if they have a high fiber connection that they have a problem with, et cetera, so forth, we help them out with that. On the network side, we completed that fiber and network upgrade at the Bryan Street Hub. We finally got that completed, which was a massive project, as you know. Occurred over the period of 2 weeks because we had to take half the city down at one time, half the other, and that was done during the maintenance window, midnight to 7 a.m. and that went rather smoothly. We were thankful for that. We installed a new storage area network. We currently had a Hewlett-Packard system we've had for several years, works very well. But we needed more storage because we generate a lot of file storage here at the utility. And for all the departments, this is for the entire utility. And it's a big system, and we got that installed last year, and it's working very well for us. And we also installed a camera system at one of our facilities within the company that I won't mention, but there is a camera system that's been installed at one of the facilities for security cameras, and that worked out well. On the video side, before I read these numbers, the video department is continually growing and evolving from what it's done over all the years. It still does those things, but it's still doing more and more projects all the time. Recently, a little shout out to them. Recently, they did a video with the city for a project for the home garden TV. This has turned into quite a reward for us. There's actual television stations that use this footage. The video is superb, very professionally done, and it's really good image of our video department, what's happened here, and we appreciate Eric and all of his crew's good work on all these things. These high school sports, the school programs, and the concerts, and the parades, and all the public meetings, they do these things each and every month and year, just like clockwork. They automatically plan way ahead for these things, like Jubilee Parade and all these. These basketball games and football games, they don't just happen. They have to do a lot of work, a lot of preparation, and a lot of work and some pretty bad elements sometimes, especially football, to make these things happen. I didn't put it in here, but we did a fiber project last year for video that now allows us to set up out the football field without dragging that trailer through the mud and a lot of other things. We have a good connection terminal out there now that allows Eric and his folks to do a lot easier job, I think, on those games now. And then we still sell advertising, as he's got listed here, 42 commercials and 97 community ads. We do a lot of community ads here on our Channel 4 that do not get charged to the people, and it's a good public service that BMU Cable does that you're not really going to get anywhere else. Future plans for this year, of course, we're going to continue on the fiber project out to the new substation when it's built. We got one section today, and then we have to splice all that up and connectorize that. Then we're also planning to construct a new fiber ring on what we call the inner ring that circles through the inside portion of the city. It serves the buildings downtown, serves our facilities, our city facilities, and all the critical infrastructure that we rely on in the downtown area. It also gives us future growth for in the future if we ever do fiber to the business, or if we ever need more connectivity to any of the city buildings, and also if it ever was necessary that we had more facilities available for the courthouse and for the county as well. and this will be in addition to the existing fiber that we have. And the Bryan Industrial Commercial Park fiber project, and then the Industrial Park substation, they're kind of both the same, but they're not. The substation is the great big outer ring. The Industrial Park is fiber that we will install out of the new substation that will provide fiber service out there. And some of the fiber that currently is out there that's fed from another location, we will actually turn that around and redirect all that traffic into the new system. Curtin substation, we are planning to install a new fiber to Curtin that will greatly upgrade what's existing there. It will it'll be a lot more robust for the future, and it will connect into that new big outer substation ring that we did last year and currently working on. And then we're revisiting the planning and engineering for the new communications building again this year, and throughout the year until budget time, we're going to try to assess that, what those costs would be, and then we'll revisit that and we'll discuss that during committee meetings and some of those things. Before I close, my team is a small group. They do a lot of work every year with a small group. They're a good bunch of guys, and I couldn't do any of this without them. I couldn't do it without the support of my other department heads, without a lot of the people in this building that support me. The clerk's office is great support to me, and I thank the board for supporting our department, because it's a very difficult time. So
That's how it's supposed to work. Appreciate it, Joe.
Thank you.
Good evening. I promise I won't take a lot of your time when everybody's getting tired. So I just wanted to review staffing levels a little bit with you. The end of the year, we had 49 full-time positions, and we were not actively recruiting for anybody. We had 12 part-time employees between laborers and communications crews, and 1 seasonal employee. For support staff, we had 2 account clerks and then 4 in the administration. To run the communications department, we have 17 employees, 1 superintendent, 3 techs. We have 2 in the network staff, IT, and then 11 in our programming, the video crews, which is Eric and KB and their crews. In the electric department, we have 14 currently. The superintendent, supervisor, customer service, 6 line workers, 3 laborers, with 1 of those being a part-time employee, a meter technician, and a warehouse employee. And then we have 4 in our engineering department, the supervisor and 3 assistants, and then we also have 1 maintenance mechanic. In the Auglaize and hydroelectric plant and power plant, we have a power production superintendent, the supervisor, 6 operators, and then 1 part-time employee that assists down at Auglaize. Water department, there's 10 with the superintendent, supervisor, 4 distribution operators, a water treatment supervisor, and 2 water treatment operators, and then another part, that is where our part-time seasonal employee is. Something that we want to make sure that we point out to the community and thank the city council for is that we have a coordination of services within our city. We have 12 employees that we share services with. Not only do we work collectively with these employees as well as other employees in departments, but we also pick up a portion of these employees' salaries. So, and they've all been great to work with. As far as staffing changes, we had 9 employees that we reclassified. We filled 2 full-time positions and 5 part-time positions. We had 3 resignations in 2019. 2 of those were retirements, and 1 left to return to school to go for a whole nother career avenue. Part of our succession plan that we continue to speak of, for 2019, we filled 1 position for that. which was the power plant operator, but we did see the effects of that when Matt Killian retired and Jim Russell became the power production superintendent. So, and then for 2020, we have a line worker budgeted to hire for the line worker that is planning on retiring in the very first part of 2023. So, wanted to touch a little bit on staff development. We have several board members and employees that attend various internal and external training and educational opportunities. We go to APPA, which is American Public Power. We go to AMP conferences, the American Water Works Association conferences. Even Derek Schultz sits on our local AWWA consortium. We have 3 employees that are currently taking college courses here, and we also provide all sorts of training that is EPA required. So we'll continue to elaborate on those as we move forward. But the thing to remember is that all employees benefit this type of interaction. They share ideas and network with other people in our industry. Touch briefly on our safety. We had 4 injuries this year. Something that's interesting, in the last 8 years, in the blue are those that could have been avoided by the AMI. I know you guys are continuing to move forward with the AMI, so I've been continuing to track that. In the last 8 years, 45% of our injuries could have been avoided if we had AMI. So thought we would share that with you. And then as far as community involvement, the utilities as a whole, and a lot of this was driven by Eric and his team. We did the business and industry show. We did the career fair at Northwest State. The water treatment provided tours. The schools toured the Oglaze facility. And then we did some participated in United Way Trick or Treat, and we had open house for Public Power Week and Drinking Water Week. So, and I'm going to turn the social media side over to Eric. If he wants to come up.
Thank you, Jackie.
Good evening. On our website, one of the things that I take care of is we put out 14 stories last year to educate our customers on some of the different things happening around town with utility, energy saving projects, peak days. We did a lot of education last year with our customers on peak days and what heating and cooling days mean. We also put out some stories about the danger of posting signs on the utility poles. It's something that we've seen a trend in Bryan going up with, and we're trying to work with the people posting on them to let them know that it's actually against the law in Bryan and unsafe to our utility employees. We put some new pages up on the page. We did some utility scans. That's a big thing that APPA we talked about this year at our conference that I attend with them, is the amount of scams going out to targeting elderly and people who get tricked real quick into thinking that an iTunes card is going to pay for their utility bill this month. So working with them, and then the clerk's office lets us know because they get phone calls, and we try to issue scam alerts out right away too, to let people know. Took just about 5,500 photos this year for our archives to post out to our social media page, as well as have for future for our engineering department, or just reference back to, but just keeping what we have out, different things going on. Our website continued to have a lot of traffic. We averaged just about 16,000 users. Those are individual people hitting our site throughout the year. Down just a little bit from last year. Not sure why that is, but everything else went up. So 27,000 sessions. That's different people. That's every time you log into our website or get to our page. And then people visited 49,600 different pages on our website. One of our big hits and big traffic on it is our bill pay still. That accounts for 14% of the traffic. So a lot of people are going there to pay their bill online or learn about different options of paying bills. So then this the blue graph in the middle there shows that we get traffic all times of the day. I mean, a lot of times from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., but there are people hitting our website 24/7. taking a look at different things that way. So, Facebook page, we increased by 431 people this year. We're getting real close to 2,000, which is for a town our size. If you look at industry standards, we are pretty high in ranking. When we go to conference every year, that's something that all of us sit down and talk about is our numbers, and we do very well in Bryan. That, you know, we're about a quarter of our town follows us on our social media, which we use a lot. Our top post last year, the ice rink, that was a joint post with the Parks Department. A little over 12,000 or 18,000 people shared and saw that post. This year, working with the engineering department, that was our biggest stuff. The Town Line Road, we were constantly working with the engineering department, putting out detours, letting people know where the crews are at, how they could get around, especially as school started. That was a pretty, everybody wanted to know where we're at, what's closed, what's open. And those totals over that project, we saw about 28,000 people going to our Facebook page to see where we were closed and what was happening that way. So, then a lot of our stuff we put on our Twitter page and then our Instagram page. A lot of the pictures we take end up there as well. So future, we're going to continue the momentum that we got from the HD TV project. It has blown us away. I think the mayor and I, we talked Saturday and dawn. We got a phone call from Channel 11, picked up on the story, thought it was really cool what we were doing with it. He says, you know, we don't make it out to Little Bryan, Ohio. And I said, well, Little Bryan, Ohio has got a video that's over 35,000 views right now. So for a town that's 8,000, we've got a lot of people watching us and sharing it. We've had 42 comments on it. I went back through and looked at those as they were coming in. We have people from all over the United States that have seen the video and posted on how cool our little town is and stuff. So we're going to continue that momentum. We're going to do a lot of more stories that showcase the little things around Bryan. You know, doing this project, we had a chance to tour some of the historical buildings in Bryan. Bryan's got a lot of things that I know about because I get to do this as part of my job, but we're going to showcase those off to the community to show what we have. So, and then we've got a lot of video stories on our website that we're going to update, and some more energy savings and tips and tricks for our residents. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Nate, go ahead, please.
I didn't have anything planned, but I could spend another hour up here if you'd like, basically.
Go ahead, it's only 3:40.
I know,
We started at
it's only
5, we
3:40.
haven't backing up.
Right, I'll try to-
I don't know if the spooks got in that clock or what. They jumped back 2 hours.
That's what, didn't it do it during,
Oh.
I thought it was normal time, maybe not earlier.
I just wanted to touch on a lot of the projects that you saw here tonight. You know, our engineering department and our team was involved with a lot of them, so it'd be repetitive for us to go over each and everything that you saw there. But I don't want to miss this opportunity to publicly thank all of my employees for the hard work that they put in 2019. And we've got a really, really busy year to come up this year too. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to basically thank them and you know, for the work that they've done and for the upcoming projects that they have. So I just wanted to, you know, publicly thank them for all the hard work that they did. So, thank you.
Thanks, Nate. Yeah, and I guess I'll speak for the rest of the board. I'm sure you'll concur that I'm extremely proud of everyone here at the utility, how hard they work and how dedicated they are, and how they all work together to help each other. That wheel is important, that all them spokes stay intact. So hats off to all of you, doing a fantastic job. Good presentation. Thank you very much.
Good job.
Okay, I guess next on the agenda is paid bills.
I'll make a motion, we pay the bills.
I'll second it.
Jim?
Yes.
Annette? Yes. Dick?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
And before I move on, last night Councilman Betts and Mary Leatherman and Tom Sprow and myself, we had a little conversation that we both agreed that we would like to get together as a council and board to have a joint meeting, which we thought was fantastic. It's a good idea. We only had one last year, which was in January or February. So with that, the mayor suggested, which I thought was a great idea, that possibly on the 16th or the 17th of February, that we,
March.
or March, I'm sorry. Okay.
Well, that was yesterday.
We were there.
That we get together and have a joint meeting. The 17th is voting day, which is probably not a good idea. That is our normal board meeting. The mayor suggested that maybe on the 16th, we could get together, we could have city council meeting. This is just an example. At 5 o'clock, at 6 o'clock, we could have a board meeting, and then we could have a joint meeting. That's something to ponder. Check your dates, your availability, and I'll get together with John and make sure it's okay with his council.
Is there a topic for this joint meeting?
It's just basically to talk about how we can communicate better between the board and maybe what we can do together to make Bryan a better place. I mean, we got to start working together and just talk about things and get on a better path, if that's fair to say.
So I would have to check that with my council too, by the way, to make sure they would be available at 5.
Oh, yes, yeah. And that's what I basically said to John.
Will this meeting pertain to the information that was supplied to these gentlemen in that meeting last night? Will the rest of the board be supplied with the information so we can prepare ourselves for this?
Yeah, we didn't get any copies of that.
No, I don't know. All I know, and I got home at 4 o'clock this morning and I had about a half hour to watch the end of the council meeting on YouTube, and I got a little bit of the gist of what was going on, and it was a little bit much to digest in my frame of mind at the time. So if there would be something that you could supply us with that would prepare us for this, I'd dearly appreciate it.
Well, let's see if this works. What I can do is, you're probably talking about the page thing that I talked to Tom about, yes. And there's like 4 pages to it, but the first one is, the mayor or something can get y'all a copy of that. But I think the second part was that we started talking about a little bit, was what you just brought up, Jim, was like agenda items. And what I suggested from council as an agenda item.
Mr. Betts, I don't mean to interrupt, they'd like you to come to the podium.
Oh.
So that the camera picks up your sound.
You bet, sorry about that. At what point do I need to start over? Let's just say, so if you get John Betts, citizen council member, we can get you copies, or if the mayor can get you copies of that one page, or if you want to, if you can make the copies for the all group, then that would be taken care of. But I think the other thing, what we talked about was agenda items that each would have. And last night, what I suggested as the agenda item from council was to look at single purpose. Is there a single purpose? What are we doing? Second, the role definition, which is pretty much on this one of the pages there that it has, this is what BMU does, this is what city council does. So kind of discuss that. That was kind of what, those are the things that I thought. If there's other things we need to add to that, that's fine. But so do we have a single purpose that we can agree on? What are the kind of the role definitions? And then the third, and I think the more important piece is, in what ways can we communicate better, coordinate and communicate better? And it was I probably wouldn't even have shared it if Dick didn't, but it just seemed extremely coincidental. Some may go a little bit more spiritual, but certainly at least coincidental. Dick said, well, you know, I've thought for years that what we ought to have is more joint meetings. Well, one of the items that I was going to put on the agenda from my perspective to discuss was, would it be better if we had some kind of quarterly ongoing joint meetings? So it's that kind of a thing. So what you'll see on there is at the very end, both council and board be thinking about, before we meet, if it's going to be the 16th or whatever, be thinking about, you know, what you want to bring to the table that relates to that agenda. Then I think at the meeting, if I recall this right, and Tom and Dick can help me here, there was a question of, well, you know, does BPA want to put some things on the agenda? The answer is yes, that's why it's a joint meeting. So if you would have some things that you'd want to put on that agenda to discuss as a joint piece, besides purpose, I don't really need to go through that, purpose, role, ideas of communication coordination, then you would certainly want to have that. Does that make sense?
Well,
No, not as much.
please understand that I'm all for a better working relationship between the council and the board. Absolutely. But you've spoken a lot over the last few weeks about streamlining the city government.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess if there's improvements to be made, I guess that's yet to be decided. But that's what I'm wondering about this meeting is if that's going to be part of the topic, and if we're going to be expected to come to this meeting and make agree to changes, I guess. Is that going to be part of the proposal?
No. One of the things that occurred last night was the issue of a couple proposals that were put on the issue. The first one being 46/2019. I won't speak in that kind of ease, but to give you a frame of reference, which was the first one, which was to look at just abolishing, if you will, BPA. The second issue that we have, that I proposed as a way that we could work together, was I called it the combination piece, where we would fold in and then after 2 years the voting. I call it the combination piece. Those two issues are, I think, and I was going to do it privately, I will do it publicly. I think you do an outstanding job of reporting. No, you do an outstanding job of reporting because you encapsulate it real well. But I think what Max, it's very good. Consistently very good. What Max put in is very true. From my perspective, I think he said it's possibly that I would agree. So no, my thought is what we're going to discuss is what ways can we go forward here, keeping separate. I think that's really your issue. Keeping separate, but if we keep separate, how do we build? If you have two islands, that's okay, but what kind of bridges do you need?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I understand, John.
Okay.
Don't take me wrong. The thing is I mean, and if you've read the paper or social media, I mean, there's been criticism of the idea of creating a 10-person city council, with the mayor being the tiebreaker if need be.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe that's what, and please, if I'm wrong, correct me. But I guess I see the end result of your second proposal as being the same as what your original proposal was, the 26th?
I think that is fair. No, I think that is fair. Because in both senses, the
Right.
end result is not having a BPA. No, that's true. I wouldn't argue with that. The issue was one of trying to, and I think I've made that clear consistently, is to respect the term limits of all of us.
I understand that.
And also the experience of all of us. But yes, that both proposals were dealt with that. That was never something that was tried to be kept.
So that'll
Come
be
on
one of
board.
the directions that we'll be taking in this joint meeting, is discussing the,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part.
No.
no?
No.
Okay.
Can I say something real quick?
So I'm not
Maybe Jim-
communicating that well,
It's
right?
No, it's
No,
okay.
you're doing fine.
I
I
think maybe
just got
the
thoughts, I'm
piece
trying to.
that you missed was.
Jim missed the meeting
council
last
had-
night,
Yes,
so
so,
he didn't.
and you may not have seen this, but council did ask that we put that ordinance 46, 2019 on the agenda for the next meeting, which will be
Right.
March 2nd.
And that was in the paper. that
Yes,
was-
so
that-
I think that will have its third and final reading and will
Okay.
be complete.
Okay, but that's where my
That is
second
not
question
gonna
came
come up
is
from my
if,
understanding here.
if the end result of this, of your second proposal, the end result of that one is gonna be the same.
Yeah, well,
As
that
your
that
first
proposal has no
proposal would have
readings.
been.
Yeah, well, I think what your question is, and I think, see if this answers it more clearly, is the agenda item that I just said is the agenda item from us. If you want to add something else, that's up to you.
Yeah.
But the agenda item, from my perspective, is what ways, what's the purpose, what's our role definitions, can we kind of agree on those? And what ways do we need to set up communications so that when we keep separate, how's that in the present tense? So when we keep separate, we still don't float away. We still have discussions and can talk with each other. And here are some ideas that I have, 3 or 4. Here are some ideas that Annette has, 2 or 3 or 1 or 10, whatever. And then kind of discuss those. So that was kind of the thought. And kind of come out of there with, okay, Rhonda, can you write up a resolution of this agreement that going forward, it's a resolution, not an ordinance, going forward, that we agree that this is what we're gonna do to try and communicate and keep them
So we need to
together.
pass a resolution so that we'll agree to that we'll.
Well, we don't have
work
to, that was
together
my thought.
Better.
Yeah,
Oh,
if you don't want to, we don't have to.
No,
I don't
that's-
so much care.
That's fine, I mean, I'm only speaking for myself.
The reason I was thinking of the resolution, I really hate this. The reason I was thinking of the resolution piece was because I don't know about you, I have no sense of immortality. So my thought is as we either go off terms or as we, if you don't mind me saying, die or whatever happens first, that the people that are coming after that have a sense of, oh, I see what we're doing. I see, that's the role, that's the purpose. Yes, it was that kind of a thought. I ain't got much more.
And we
Jim.
talked about,
No,
we talked about quarterly,
Yeah,
and let's see what happens.
Right.
Maybe
Right.
we won't have to do it that often.
no,
We can adjust that.
you can, we can set something up, I don't care. We can set something up that we meet quarterly the first year, and after that, we talk and say, is this just not work, is it a waste of time, is it worthless, kind of a thing. And one of the things that I did ask of the mayor, and I appreciate her getting with you and looking to that, is I think there was a good point brought up, and I think it was Tom, of is there some way that we can do this so that we don't have 2 separate meetings to help save the taxpayer. So I presented that to the mayor. Could we do either a Monday or I don't care which night, a Monday or, didn't even think of the voting thing, but a Monday or Tuesday night where we could meet and do our own stuff, like you just said,
Right.
and then have a joint meeting, and it's not like an additional meeting then.
Right. And that saves taxpayers
Yeah,
money.
that was kind of.
That's a great idea.
So thank you, Tom. Well, that was Tom's idea.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom. Okay.
Is that,
well, I'll just say this and then I'll shut up. I mean, like I say, I just don't see the need for any type of formal legislation that's gonna say that we'll get along. I mean, if we can't air our differences and compromise, I think we got bigger problems than that. And I guess in my own mind to feel, I don't know, locked in to, well, like I say, I don't know
you
quite
use
what
the
to
term-
expect, so I don't know quite how to.
well, no, that's okay.
Address
But you use a term that is different for me. I use the term resolution, you use the term legislate.
Well,
To me,
yeah.
legislation is an ordinance. A resolution is, by definition, I believe, a legal definition, I would be corrected here, is a temporary statement of opinion. It has no legislative, it has no ordinance legal oomph. So my point was that I'll revisit, and if you don't think it is, I'm not married to that, But it seems like we ought to have something for others that come after us, is that this is what this group agreed to, doesn't mean that they have to. Doesn't tie anybody. It's a temporary statement of opinion. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Okay, that's it.
Like you said, if we all got killed in a bus crash
Please.
tomorrow morning, it would
Yes.
give somebody a direction to follow.
Okay?
I just got a funny way of expressing myself.
One thing that you did miss that I did say to these gentlemen that I'm more than happy to say again, is what started this, quite frankly, was the fact that I believe I started with this. I thanked them and the BPA for what I see over the last few months as a lot of good movement, and I gave some of the examples as it related to all non-personnel. I have nothing to say about personnel, but as it relates to non-personnel, things like you restarted the committees issue. You have attended council meetings, got more involved with that. You have also, the housing plan, getting on that and what you plan on doing with that and that kind of a thing. I think those are all good steps that say that I think that it is a better time to be talking. That was pretty much the impetus.
Okay. Things.
Yeah, absolutely, please.
In this paper that we got last night and came up in the meeting that we had, a couple of things stand out to me. One is improved communication and coordination and working as a team. I don't think we have a problem in either one of those areas. We work as a team real well with the city side. We share the engineer, he gets us grants.
We heard that a lot tonight in our
Yes.
in the presentation.
And how well we work together. So I don't think that's something we need to talk about.
I'm sorry, I think the focus was mostly on.
May I speak, John?
I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Improved communication. It was brought up last night. Well, we'd like to know what your group is doing and what our group is doing. Well, if you want to know what it's doing, come to the meetings. If you want to see it, it's on BMU video. The minutes are given to everybody on both boards. They're public. If you want to know what we're doing on a meeting by meeting basis, that's the best way, because if you meet once a quarter is not like every meeting. You're not gonna learn everything in that one quarter what each side is doing. So I think if you really want to know, go to the meetings, look at the videos that we put up, read your minutes. Everything's there. I just don't think there's a problem. I am not going to vote to have a joint meeting until the issue is settled permanently on the charter revision. I know you can sit here and say that it's a done deal, the votes aren't going to be there to support it, but it's not over till it's over. So,
well, Tom, timing-wise, it's over on March the 3rd.
Well, then come back and, please, then come back and then propose a joint meeting, but I'm not going to vote for a joint meeting now.
Well, that's okay. What you're saying is you want to wait till March 3rd and then establish if you can meet on March 16th or whatever.
Not necessarily.
And I'm not sure I understand, but, okay. I'm not sure I understand.
Well, I'm just not going to vote for any meeting until the issue is settled.
Well, and that will be March 3rd.
Okay, and after that meeting and it's settled, then I'll reconsider having be part of a joint meeting.
Okay.
So that's my feeling.
Okay, well, that's fine. One thing that I did want to at least address was your question of, I think we all communicate well. I think that was stated here, the engineering department, etc. I think the intent is not so much that communication as the board to council, council to board communication. I think that was more the focus. So we can do that. I mean, if you want to wait until the March 3rd scenario and then give a date. That's up to you, what you want to do. But I think it's a good idea for us to meet. I think it is a good idea for us to meet and discuss other options. That's just an example of one, and with hopefully others, we might get some others.
Regardless how we end up with this joint meeting, could I request that we still be supplied with the information? That you put out?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'd
I'm
just
just gonna
like
make
to-
a copy of that for you guys.
I'd just like to know,
Sure.
what's on your mind.
Sure.
And I'd like to add a comment as well. You talk about maybe having some sort of document in place that says we should meet certain periods of time. It's been a general understanding throughout the history of the utility and the BM, the council and the board, to share information by having representatives from the city side here to share information as well. And I guess that's my comment about, I guess what I just want to say is, do you feel like you're not getting enough information from the representatives going back to you?
No, I think you all know I'm here probably as much as the representatives, right? So.
I don't know what that's what I'm asking.
Well, but I'm physically here.
What is it you want to know that you feel like you aren't getting from us?
No, I don't, it's not
What should
I
we
wanna
share that we're not sharing?
Well, I think the point is that there's a variety of ways that we can communicate by being in closer proximity to each other. Be it if we met on the same night, you at 5 to 6:30 or whatever, and us after that, so that you could come to our meeting, we could come to yours if you wanted to. You didn't have to, but it makes it much more amenable and easy to do. I think if we did have quarterly meetings that came up, things would come up that we would want to share with you and you with us. The point is just, can we, that's all I'm saying, can we sit down and say, are there things that we think we can improve? And if the answer is no, there's nothing to improve, then okay. But I'd like to at least have that discussion. Is there some ideas that you have that you think that could work out that might help?
Well, we've tried that in the past. There's been times since we've been on the board that we would have considered having a joint meeting, but have really been denied. So you're not really saying anything different. If we want to have a joint meeting, there's no reason to not have one if there is some information we need to share. So to have something that says we should do one on a regular basis, I think as well, it's probably not a wise idea, but if there's something truly that we need to meet for, then we should just go ahead and do it.
And that could be discussed, and instead of having a quarterly joint meeting, maybe we decide we have them as needed. I think we're getting caught up in detail that should be maybe discussed, what I was considering to be when we're all there having some of our ideas. And that's all I'm suggesting. I'd be willing to at least meet and discuss other ways that we could work better. That's all. That's really all it is.
If you're just asking for a joint meeting, then, hey, yeah, I'm in.
Okay, that's all it really is.
That's all it
And
is
I'm
right
hearing
now.
Tom, and I respect that and appreciate that. He doesn't want to even talk about it or think about it until after March 3rd, and that's fine too. It doesn't much matter to me.
What's the board's wishes? I mean, how do y'all feel?
Well, John, in Tom's defense, I mean, don't take this the wrong way, but my impression of you is you're not shy. You have a questioning nature.
Yeah.
If there's anything you want to know, you ask.
Yeah.
I mean, you pursue it.
Right.
Everybody tells me that.
Yeah.
I don't know what you could possibly want to know. And I mean, as far as communications between us, I mean, our HR department has helped your side out a lot. Mr. Whelan has been an asset to the utility. I mean, bringing him over from the city side to help us. I mean, it's not like we've alienated each other. It's, I mean, if there's something that's needed or something needs to be discussed, it's always been dealt with.
I mean, I guess it's a fair statement, John. We're all kind of spooked over this, and that'll go away.
Yeah.
That'll go away.
Well, I think it might be helpful if you also expressed what you said to me last night, which is for the last 7 years, you've wanted to have, some kind of togetherness issues that you feel as though that have been missing, instead of just it looking like it's coming from.
And that's always been my goal, like I said, was to bring the board and the council together.
That's all.
This is about the city of Bryan. It's not about council, and it's not about the BPA. It's what we can do together to make this a better place to live and work.
That's what it's about.
I guess I'm kind of with Tom. I would like to see that the charter be a done deal, that's not gonna happen ever again, and then go forward.
Well, I couldn't say ever again because obviously 20 years,
but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, but this one, we have a third reading that we will address on March 3rd. That will be addressed, yes.
And then pursue then maybe a joint meeting after that.
Yeah, that's fine.
March 2nd is our meeting, March 3rd is theirs.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. She was just asking me which day.
Just speaking for myself, and I'm not saying no, but what I'm saying is I'd like to read that material before I make a decision.
That's fine. And remember, the material has in it that part of the discussion would be the proposal of combination. That's off the table. So kind of scratch that out when you read it. It's just gonna be about staying separate. But are there ways, just a question, are there ways that we could communicate better going forward? That's really, maybe the answer is no. Everything's perfect. But I think people ought to be able to bring some stuff to the table and see there are things and what everybody else thinks about those ideas.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
Is there a reason why you have not brought things to us in the past in your fashion of wanting to communicate better until just now in this fashion, this method that you want to use to try and abolish the board? In the past time that you've been a council member, you've not brought anything to us. Is there a reason for that? And now you want us to share information? And again, what kind of information is it that you want to share with if you haven't tried to do anything in the past? You haven't brought anything. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You want to meet, you want to share information, but you haven't done that in the past since you've been a council member.
Well,
you haven't brought anything or asked for a joint meeting. It could have been a simple thing where you could have just tried and said, hey, let's have a joint meeting.
I think we did have a joint meeting, seems like it was last May or something.
That was for a specific purpose.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, other than that, no. It just feels as though that it's something that we ought to explore. And that's it.
You feel it. Do the rest of the council members agree with you?
They did after last night. That's what that whole flurry was about, which was, I don't understand this, I don't understand that. And after they understood it, they all said, yes, I think we need to go ahead, I think we need to meet and have that discussion. Unless I misunderstood something from last night's meeting.
They had a motion
to
schedule a joint meeting to be
schedule a joint
determined.
meeting with,
So
you know,
it was
to
a
be able to go
unanimous
forward and
vote.
discuss.
Well, how about we do this? How about I'll entertain a motion to have a joint meeting with council, date to be announced.
that's pretty much where we're at right now,
Yeah.
isn't it? I mean, that was basically the proposal that came from the council meeting last night, as I understood, when,
Yeah.
or at least what I saw on YouTube.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that,
But that gives us time for everyone to give me your input on what you think, so we don't have to sit here all night and, you know, argue or tit for tat about what we're gonna do. Just think about it. I know Jim has to digest this, so does Annette and Karen. And then give me your thoughts. And then we can proceed from there.
I think it's necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we
Yeah.
all need to get together and have a good chat.
That's,
So would it be fair for me to ask for a motion to set a joint meeting date to be announced?
Won't get my support.
I'll
Do
do
what
it
you
this
want.
way. I'll make the motion.
Go right ahead.
That we set,
I can vote no.
okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Dick,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Jim,
no.
Annette,
Yes.
Tom.
No.
Okay. Thank you, John.
yeah, sure.
Okay, next on the agenda is comments from BPA and staff. Karen?
We had no power outages last month. Yay. Good job again. Everyone. And the squirrels. I don't think there was anything else I wanted to mention, but that was one thing I promised I would announce every now and then. When we're doing well, we're doing well, and that's it.
Great job on the presentations. I don't know, we had so much information, I don't know how anybody could do it in 5 minutes that they were allotted. But we learned quite a bit. In fact, this year we learned, I think, more about the video department than we knew in the past. So all those things that that department does. But everybody, great job, department heads. Thank you very much for your time you put into, and effort you put into those presentations.
Well, along with Tom, absolutely wonderful presentation. Just nice to see it all in 2019, a nice little package. I guess the only other thing I guess I really want to mention in here is congratulations to Tom Wheeler, is that correct? On his promotion. And thanks everybody for coming. I know how hard it is to put one of these presentations together and to look at the year and a whole year review, so a job well done.
Jim?
The year in review, yeah. If you take into consideration the fact that we have such a low turnover, that our department heads do such a good job, and they're so, they give so much credit to their employees. I mean, they don't take credit themselves, they pass it down. I think that speaks highly of our department heads and our employees. So, yeah, they do a great job. I think it speaks highly of the utility.
Took the words right out of my mouth, my friend. I did what Jim just said. You're very much appreciated, all of you. Great presentation. I'm confident that we'll have a better 2020. It'll be better, it'll be a good year. Looking forward to it. That's all I have. Dawn.
I would like to congratulate Tom Wheeler on his Operator 4. That's great. And I'd like to thank the department heads for all the time that they put in to the year review presentation and also leading their crews through each of the projects. And also thank you to the BMU crews for all the hard work in 2019.
Mayor?
No, good job on the video though, Eric. It was fun.
Rhonda?
Thank you.
Lauren?
No, sir.
Department heads. Council. HR. Okay. Thank you all for coming. With that, we're going to go into executive executive session to discuss collective bargaining and compensation of a public employee. With that, I'll ask everyone at the table to stay, and Jackie Perry. And we'll take a short recess.
Boy.